We've got starting pitcher tiers up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Monday, January 29th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Scott White, and let's talk starting pitcher tiers. Starting with the first rounders, just two names on the list, Spencer Strider and Garrett Cole, both going within the top 13 or 14 picks in drafts. The also elite tier features 5 more names, Kevin Gausman, Zach Wheeler, Corbin Burns, Luis Castillo, Zach Gallen. Scott, your tiers, your rankings, it lines up completely with ADP. Top 7 in your rankings are the same as top 7 in ADP. What makes these 7 the most likely aces within your first 2 tiers?
Well, I think they have the best combination of upside and track record. So you can feel most confident in these pitchers delivering an ace outcome or something close to it. I mean, we're kind of at a pivot point here in terms of just like historically speaking, what is an ace exactly in fantasy? Because the upper reaches of the pitching ranks last year were well below where we've seen them really for like a whole decade prior to that. So it's an uncertain time at starting pitching, and that applies even at the higher ends here. So Strider and Cole, they distinguish themselves. They have that tier all to themselves because Strider led all pitchers by 44 strikeouts last year, led all pitchers by 3 wins last year. The ERA was on the high side, but I don't know that ERA is in this environment an especially trustworthy stat anyway. And certainly Strider underperformed all the ERA estimators. So I think he has clearly the most potential to dominate among starting pitchers. Cole is tiered with him just because his track record of ace production is so long. Finally got a Cy Young last year, even though he was less dominant in terms of strikeouts and swinging strike rate. That took a step back, but he was consistent in a year when not many pitchers, aces included, were consistent. And so I think he deserves distinction for that. And then Gausman, Wheeler, Burns, Castillo, Gallen. They basically performed like aces last year and weren't strangers to doing that. So I think they deserve to be distinguished from the next tier because of that.
And that next tier includes 11 names, the near elite: Tyler Glasnow, Tarek Skubal, Blake Snell, who remains a free agent, Pablo Lopez, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Kodai Senga, Freddie Peralta, Logan Webb, Aaron Nola, Framber Valdez, and Cole Ragans. Worth pointing out, Kodai Senga and Freddie Peralta are 1 tier lower in a points league. Aaron Nola and Framber Valdez are 1 tier lower in a categories league. Such an interesting tier here, Scott. Diverse skill sets, which spans rounds 4 through 10. Would you be okay with all of the names up to this point as your SP1 in a draft?
Basically, yes. Now, if Tyler Glasnow is the pitcher we're talking about, and he comes with an expectation of missing at least a third of the season, so probably need to make sure you get a second pitcher from this tier if you're going to take him as your number 1, or that you got a pitcher from the previous tier, in which case Tyler Glasnow wouldn't be your number 1. But I think all of these pitchers basically have as much upside as the previous tier, as that Kevin Gausman, Zach Wheeler, Corbin Burns, Luis Castillo, Zach Gallen tier. And we saw it last year from Blake Snell. We basically saw it from Pablo Lopez and Logan Webb. I think they all have that kind of upside. It's more of a matter of how assured you are of them meeting that upside. That's really what creates that distinction between those 2 tiers. And I have half a mind to just combine them into 1 tier, to be honest, because I'm much more likely to draft from this near elite tier than that also elite tier, just judging from their going rates. But there have been times when I've taken Kevin Gausman just because that was about the point when the really high-end MVP caliber bats began to run out in drafts. So I'm going to keep that distinction there in the starting pitcher tiers because of that.
All right, if you want to find out more about Scott's starting pitcher tiers, then you can do so on our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, which you can listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again on Wednesday. Bye-bye.